Okay, so this is a diamond baptiste on Paris. And the first thing I really don't like is how close you're playing to your team here. This angle, not really that important for you. You know, you can get pretty much the same angle from further back. And playing further back, it's better for you for a few reasons. Like, most importantly, it gives you LOS on this sort of right side flank. You know that teams like to send like Pharahs and Genjis over sometimes. It's really good for you to be in a position where you can like react to that with range damage. Instead, like because of where you're playing at the moment, you can't really do that. And like the other thing as well is that you have no idea what the enemy team are playing, and playing so far forward and like being so clumped up with your team means that you're not really in a position to react that well. You know, maybe the enemy team rolled out playing full dive, right? They'd come around the corner, hard commit onto your Bastion, and if they did that, you'd be caught up in that dive, and that's not really a situation you want to be in. It's much better for you, like at least while you're working out what the enemy team are playing, to be to be playing slightly further back, right? So if that dive does come in, like you're at least in a position to appeal for your team and not have to worry about yourself. And I guess that's like the main thing I don't really like that much about your Baptiste play. Like you have a lot of options this game to play sort of outside the shield and like slightly away from your team because the enemy team aren't playing snipers, but you don't really use it. You just sort of default to like really clumping up with your team, but mostly like using the same sort of angle as your team, right? You line up sort of directly behind them, which honestly isn't really that good for Baptiste. Like he generally, if he can, he wants to be on that slightly alternate angle, which makes it a lot easier for him to put on range pressure. But I'll point out some more examples later. Once they transition main though, and you see the entire team here, you've got to react to this, right? You got to think like, hey, there's nothing I can do here apart from like poke them a bit, and you really overcommit here. You come right up, and it's not the play, not the play. Like you see them here, you can sort of kite a little bit, so you can just see like the top of the heads, and then you can still get decent poke out. And you remember too, you're playing the Bastion, right? So you just want to wait. You want to wait for your team to turn around, and then like probably like the Bastion's going to shoot them. D.Va's probably going to try and contest. You can double pocket. Absolutely no pressure on you to like take such a wide angle here. And Hog should have hooked you. Maybe Anna should have slapped you. Like you're in big trouble here. And I'm surprised the Doomfist was the one that ended up killing you, but like absolutely no reason to overpick this like this much. If we go forward, oh yeah, this reload here, nah, I don't like it. All right, reload. Baptiste. Okay, so like reload is quite a big thing, but for like Baptiste, Anna and Zen especially too. They want to think about these two main reloads. You have these two phases of the fight. You have this sort of pre-fight where teams are rotating, just poking each other, and then you have the actual fight. And in pre-fight, your ammo isn't very important. So like you're happy to just like poke and try and build out charge and stuff. But when you get into that fight phase, your ammo is really important, right? Because each shot needs to like do something for you. So you have to try and get a reload in between these two phases. Unfortunately, like you don't really see that. So like right now, you're sort of still. Let's find the perfect time actually. So like right now, like you're poking, just poke phase, normal. Then they touch point, you reset commit shield. Right now is when you probably want to go for that reload, right? Because like from now on, like now you're in like a real fight. And remember too, like your reset just pops shield, which means that you at least have some time before before she's going to start taking damage and she's going to need that healing. So you definitely do have time to wait. Like the way that reset shield work means that or the way that her shield rotation works, means that she's not really taking damage that often. So she's quite happy to be on like, what's she on now? Is that 50 HP down? 100 HP down? Like she's pretty happy not to be on full health. You can definitely slot in a reload. Instead, like you delay it way too long. So by the time you actually go for it, the shield cracks. Which as we see, like really screws your D.Va. Because you're focusing on reloading and then you're not really ready to appeal for it at all. But yeah, like these reloads really important. Think like in between these two phases, you have the poke phase, and then like right now once it's a reset commit shield, you're actually starting the fight, so you have a chance to reload, and you really want to get a reload in between those two phases. Coming up to your last defense fight here, and this window here is really good. But okay, so you're starting in a good position, right? Again, like you're back in this high ground. This position is really good for you. I didn't mention it earlier, but because the enemy team's not playing any snipers, you're really happy to play up here. And like when they're playing the Doomfist, this position was really good for you too, because it means like you're not really on the same, you're not really on like ground level, so like it's a lot more difficult for him to engage on you. But you play here again, which is really good. You know, you have LOS on pretty much all three lanes. You know, you can react to anything here while still having like LOS on your team. It's great to have. Also, like enemy team swap Sombra, you know the Sombra's going to hit this flank at some point, and from where you are right now, you're in a really good position to react to her, right? Like you can, if she touches point, you're here. If she sort of flanks, you're pretty happy to take that duel too. Like as long as you're ready to react to it, it's not too uncomfortable a duel for you to take. And if she tries to flank your team and commit on them, she's probably going to want to play around this doorway. So like you're in a really good position to like peel for them and damage her and force her out. So really good for you. Unfortunately, after this window, after this window and after this McCree's dead, you should sort of realize that your team's sort of got the situation like in hand on left side. It's going to be really difficult for the enemy team to push. And also like the enemy team still have to touch point, right? But for some reason, I'm not too sure why. I'm not too sure. Like I think maybe you want to try and help the team, but like you clump up with them again. And also, I mean, it's nice to push out the Sombra, and I think you stop the hack. But like now it means you're in a really poor position to react to the enemy team pushing main, right? We can imagine if you're still up on that high ground at the back, you would have seen these people come to point a very long time ago, and you'd actually be able to put on some range pressure and maybe like split their attention, because you know they won't be able to commit like really hard onto you while you're playing on this slightly like alternate angle. Sorry, they won't be able to commit very hard onto your team. Sorry, like while you're playing on this alternate angle. So it's a bit of a shame you left that position, but you also have this position here, right? Frame by frame works. Wait. Yeah, you also have this position here, right? Which you can do like the same thing from, but probably better. Especially when you know the enemy team's McCree is dead. So like you don't really have anyone with like burst damage who's going to be dueling you on the flanks. Like, I mean, sure, there's the Sombra, but again, like you're not really too bothered. None of the heroes on their team, I mean, really scare you enough for you not to like take this like calculated risk of playing in this position. Because you can play around this cover here with this big pillar in the middle, put like really good sort of flank damage pressure on the enemy team. Because what you want to be trying to do is trying to sort of split their attention away from like your main bulk of the team, right? So that you like when Yuri hops on point and puts shield, she doesn't just get overwhelmed and obliterated straight away. And also like if your team does take damage, you can just hide behind this pillar and peek this right window and heal your team. Like you have a really good chance here to like really lean on a flank, and especially when you're playing an Anna, like you have quite a lot of freedom to do that, because like she's going to handle quite a lot of the healing potential, as long as you sort of as long as you're on top of like who's going to need healing, like whether the Anna's getting tagged, and like you sort of overheal them like when they really need that burst. You have a lot of freedom to focus on damage here, and it's because of the way that you and the Anna are playing, where you're only really focusing on healing. Your team's not putting out sort of enough damage pressure to like stop the enemy team from just like walking onto you and killing everything. It's really something like Baptiste players don't focus on generally, like putting out enough damage. Like I definitely like to see you playing these flanks a lot more. Also, this D.Va, she was dead a long time ago. As soon as she came out of your lamp, I mean, sure, like you can heal her, you're going to build some ult charge, you're going to distract Zarya for a bit, but in this situation where like it's an overtime, teams are forced onto point, you're going to need to like put out a lot of stats in this fight. Not getting value out of your heal combo, like trying to use it to save the D.Va, is such a poor play. Like this mouse 2, shift mouse 2 is, Baptiste can almost like, it's not really that much, but Baptiste can put a lot of, like he can get a lot of value out of it. And you waste it on this D.Va, which you really should have known was already dead, and we can see like not even like a second later your Orisa just gets burnt down, and like she could have really done with that combo. So okay, so just a minor thing to finish with. Alright, I actually made a video the other day about supports and like how you have to think about like when you're playing in a sport duo, you have to think about what you're good at, what the other sport's good at, and like how to sort of best fit the situation. Big part of that is working out like who has to peel for the other one, right? Like, and in this situation, like with these two heroes, neither of you have very good self peel, so you're gonna have to peel for each other quite a lot for the most part. Um, because you're playing Orisa comps, you're not gonna need very much heals. But as soon as you hear this Moripple Coalescence, I think you said you played a lot of Zen, by the way. So it's as soon as you hear this Coalescence, you should that like fear should be like ticking in your head. Like she's just gonna try and burn down the supports through the shield, and pretty much every Moira will look for this. They're pretty bloodthirsty, and it's really sad that you don't like turn around and try and heal her once, because she's pocketing you, right? Like right now she's pocketing you because of the Coalescence, and you don't turn around and try and heal her. And it's like, sure, like you get comboed by Doom like a couple of seconds later, but it's more the fact that you didn't even like clock on to the fact that she was definitely going to need your heals there, and that's something you really need to be looking out for. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry I didn't go over like a bunch of specific micro things, but you really want to try leaning on these flanks a little bit more. It's going to give you, it's just going to open up a lot of options for you, right? Because you have much better options for damage. You can peel for your team, probably more efficiently from the side, because it means that your nades won't keep getting blocked by like teammates in front of you. And it's just like Baptiste can't really afford to play in this playstyle where he's just sitting behind his team healing. And then he really has to look for these damage options. And if you go back and look through like any of your gameplay, you'll probably notice like how much easier the fights are when you are on that sort of slight alternate angle. So it's really something you want to sort of keep pushing and see what you can get with.